Welcome. Today we're going to be looking at estimating the mean from group data. So that's what we're looking at today, and we're estimating it because we don't know the exact raw data. This is secondary data, and we've grouped it, and so therefore we've lost some accuracy, so it's only an estimate. We can't say exactly what it equals, but we can give a rough idea based on some ideas. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to look at 3 examples. We're going to look at ones from My Maths, ones from Corbett Maths, and ones from your textbook. And you're going to choose which of those 3 you want to do. And I'm going to illustrate doing 3 examples. And hopefully through these 3 examples, you'll see what we need to do. And hopefully, you can see in front of you the question here, and you should be able to see it on the screen here as well. So how to answer this? Well, firstly, as I said, we don't actually know the real raw data. So what we have to do is we have to sort of say, well, if in this example here, it says the times it took to complete a frame of snooker were recorded, and 15 times people did it between 0 and 10 minutes, 30 times it took between 10 and 20 minutes, 44 times it took between 20 and 30 minutes, and 11 times it took between 30 and 60 minutes. Because of that, we're going to just say, well, let's for each of those give an estimate to see, because like in the first one, it says between 0 and 10. So we're going to say, well, roughly, what is that? And to do that, we look at the midpoint, because we say that's roughly right. We know it might not be exactly right. That's why it's an estimate. So we're going to roughly say it is, if it's 0 to 10, we're going to say, well, the midpoint is 5, because we're going to roughly say that. Then we're going to say, for this one, between 10 and 20. So you've got to think, between 10 and 20, how do I do this? Well, a nice way to do it is you add those 2 together and divide by 2. So that's 30 divided by 2 is 15. So a nice way to find the middle is to find the average, the mean. Okay, add the 2 together and divide by 2. So between 10 and 20, it's going to be 15. And then between 20 and 30, you can see that that's 25. And then between 30 and 60, so you say, okay, 30 plus 60 is 90. A half of 90 is 45. So that's 45. And then it says here, right, I want to work out the average. So I need the total number of minutes it takes divided by how many frames were played. And the total frequency here, sigma f, this tells you the total number of games played, total number of frames. So I add that together. Number bond, 1 and 4 is 5, plus 5 is 10. So I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100. 100 frames were played. Now the question is, what's the total time of all 100 games? What's the total time? In order to do that, what I do is I got to say, well, 15 games on average took 5 minutes. So 15 games took on average 5 minutes each one. So overall, it's 15 times 5. And overall, it's 30 times 15, 44 times 25, and 11 times 45. So I will now work out what those are on my calculator here. So that's 75, 450. That should be 1,100, I think, but let's just see. 1,100. And that's 495. Now let's add all those together. And I get a total score of 2120. And to find the mean, what I do is I find the sum of all of those divided by the total number of frames. Okay, the algebra that we use. So that means it's 2,120 divided by 100 is 21.20 minutes. Now be careful with that 0.2. There's a lovely button on a lot of calculators, look like this. Okay, so what I can do is I can divide mine by 100. Okay, and then press that button and it says 21 minutes 12 seconds. Okay, and that's really good. 21 minutes and 12 seconds. Another way of doing it would be to say 0.2 of 60. So you'd say 0.2 of 60 is 12, and that tells me 12 seconds. So here we have now, I don't remember what the question is. This could be the length of rope that is cut, the length of anything, I guess, but it's in your question, so you can look at that. And they group the data together because they find that's easier to represent and understand rather than having all of this rope in all various lengths. They said, right, let's clump this into 5 groups. And the first group we're saying is between 0 and 10, 10, 20, 20, 30, 30, 40, 40, 50. So they've grouped them into these ones. And now we're going to say, well, on average, what is the length in each group? What is the midpoint of each group? So if we look here, again, 0 and 10, we said a midpoint is 5. And notice here, there is symmetry. Because these go up in 10s, the midpoints also go up in 10s. I want to add up all the frequencies together. This tells me how many pieces of string I've got. So if I can see if I can do a number bond here, it's not so easy. So I'm just going to add straight. 6 and 7 is 13, plus 5 is 18, plus 2 is 20. So just check that again, because could always get wrong. 1, 2, 7, 7 and 7, 14, 20. Brilliant. Now, I know that 6 pieces of string were 5 centimeters each one. So overall, if I multiply these two together, I get FM, like FM radio. I get frequency times midpoint. So 6 times 5, then I do 7 times 15, 105. I do 25 times 5, which is 125. Do the maths. 1 times 35 and 1 times 45. Now what I want to do is add this up together. I can see I've got 10, 20, 50, 70, 100, 140, 240, 340. Now, of course, check with my calculator because we can always make silly errors, can't we? And there's nothing wrong with just checking on the calculator. It's good to do the mental maths because it's like exercising the brain. But also, if you get it wrong, it don't really matter, does it? I wonder if I got it right or wrong. Got it right. So now I want to find the average. So again, I do the same as I do here. Put in a green box if you want. If this is a good thing to remember, put it into a green box. Oops, that green didn't work. Let's use this green. Lovely greens. So that's a good thing to remember. And so now I'm going to divide 340 by 20. So if I could do that in my head, it's 17. So we think, say this is centimeters. So the average length is 17 centimeters. And let's just check that I'm not wrong. Yeah, 17 centimeters. Now, so now we get to this question here. Okay, if you zoom down, you might be able to see it. And it says 0 to 4. Okay, now we want to find the midpoint. So I'm going to write M there for midpoint. And I'm just going to extend these lines down here. It's a bit messy. Maybe I could write this out as a table. Now 0 to 4, think about it. What's halfway between 0 and 4? 2. What's halfway between 4 and 8? 6. 8 and 12, 10. 12 and 16, 14. 16 and 20, 18. 20 and 24, 22. So the group frequency table shows the number of hours 20 people spent exercising. So it already tells you there are 20 people. So I'm already knowing that I'm going to divide by 20 because it already told me that. But if I add up this frequency here, that would be the number of people. That would be 20. So now I need to say, right, on average, 2 people spent 2 hours. So it's 2 times 2. So that's 4. 6 times 3, 18. 6 people spent 10 hours each. So that's 60. 4 people spent 14 hours. So that's 56. 4 people spent 18 hours. So that's 80, 72. And 1 person takes 22. So let's just check all of those quickly. I'm going to add to that the 22, add the 56, the 60, the 18 and the 4, and I get to 232. Divide that by the 20, and that tells me 11.6. So 11.6 hours. Again, press that dot dash dash button and it says 11 minutes 36 seconds, or 11 hours 36 minutes. 11 hours 36 minutes. And that's how you estimate the mean from group data.